he wants to coach in college, and he's interested in coming to Austin and talk to you. And my first thought was, all right, he doesn't need money, so why? Why does he want to do that? He should probably be traveling the world and playing golf. That's probably what most big leaguers finish doing, or start doing when they finish playing. And he was just so different. And we got together, and it was instant that I understood that this guy was different. And what makes him so different is that he really could care less about being here. He could care less about the money that he has. I've never heard him say one word about an investment. I've never heard him drop a name. All he does is work with our players. All he wants to do is be in the cage. He wants to coach those infielders. He wants to give them mental information. He's a gentleman, and he's a throwback. But the players right now, he can tell all four infielders to play left-handed, and they're like, all right, coach, I need a glove. That's how much they believe in him. And I think because you're a superstar, it gives you validation early on. But what you do after that, I think makes a difference. And there's such a mutual respect. And he pushes them. He pushes them real hard, but they know why he's pushing them. And that's just how it is in the NCAA. So when Houston started coming around, I'm like, Coach, Houston, sit down. All right, we have to understand what head coach responsibility means. Anything that you screw up, I get in trouble for. Coach, I'd never do that to you. I love you so much. You're like a father to me, Houston. So he says, I'm not going to miss any this spring. I said, good, that's perfect. He goes, except 1 week. He said, I got to go to Belize. Okay. So he sends me a picture the other day, laying on the beach with the Texas baseball hat on, the crack of his butt hanging out, laying there, and I'm like, God, Houston, head coach responsibility. Remember, you're representing us. And he was supposed to be at 2 banquets and at practice, and I hadn't seen him yet. But that's okay, because he doesn't have any responsibilities for a reason. So. But if he shows up to practice, he's awesome, because he can spend 2 hours of the ins and outs of getting the last 3 outs to pitchers. And so we're really benefiting from him, and he's benefiting from us, but I don't want him to have that responsibility where the player has to be solely dependent on him that day. And I know I'm approaching this lightheartedly, but he retired. One of the reasons he retired was injury. The other reason, he's got 3 boys that he wants to be around. And so it was kind of our mutual agreement, but we have fun with it. But he's a special person, and his competitiveness is coming out, and it comes out every day when he's around.
This is like Vegas. What happens at Rudy stays at Rudy.
I was trying to justify all
what can he, when he is around these guys, what does he bring? Maybe you have a closer in mind, or 1 or 2 or 3 guys that you're going to put in that role. How can he bring them along in that path? I mean, is that what you want? Is that what you want from him? Is to say, hey, now it's the night, let's go?
Yeah, let me give you what he can do as a coach. First of all, if you exhaust your eligibility at the school that you played at, you can actually go on field if you're in 12 hours and you can coach. So you're not restricted. You can hit pongo, you can throw batting practice, and you can be in the bullpen and actually coach. So he has done that. So he has that ability when he is available to do that. What I love about him is it's not just the closer, but how to play catch. Simple play and catch. He is so specific of where he puts his foot on the ground and where that target is. So it's creating this focus in their catch and throw. We call it catch play. So in catch play, it's like, he will talk literally 20 minutes about, all right, that's where your foot goes, right there. And it doesn't go right here. And then the target, all right, if your partner is over there, talking to another person and he's moving and he's not helping you, it's that precise, which is so impressive because it's not anything about analytics. It's not anything about about all the technology that's available and that we have. It's about the work and the precision of it. And that's who he was.
Is that maybe the biggest thing that Troy and you, not that you guys don't teach the details or anything, but you and Sean and Phil have your ways of coaching. Is that something that Troy and Houston can bring that maybe you don't have is a major league perspective insider of things like stepping on second base, things like putting your toe right there when you throw? Is that maybe one of the things the bigger things that they bring to your program?
They bring 28 years of big league experience. Troy's a 5-time All-Star. Houston's a couple-time All-Star. I mean, I don't care how good of a coach you are, you don't bring that expertise from a player perspective. So when I'm in a meeting in the coach's office, I go, Troy, what do you think? Coach, I wouldn't like that from a player's perspective. All right, well, how would you do it? I said, well, I just know, it made more sense when the manager did this with us, and we had a better dialogue and a better relationship there, for whatever that example is. But yeah, I'll give you another really good example because, all right, if you're familiar with a ball in the gap and what we call is cuts and relays or double relays. So you've got the middle infielders will go out, and then the outfielder's trying to hit through the first guy. He wants to drive him into the target, so on and so on. It's precision. But he tells our guys, especially on coverages down the line, because you'd probably get there 3 to 5 seconds earlier than me. They're like, what are you talking about? Well, you're in such a hurry to get there that everything that you're doing, you're losing sight of where the runner is. You're losing sight of where you are and where your target is. Slow down. So he's really brought a pace to those guys to understand how to work into that, receive that ball, be in a very relaxed position with great alignment to make that throw. And so those are things. I never played shortstop. I mean, Sean played middle infield, but not at that level. And so you think about this too, in those types of relays, there's always communication. He goes, we need to do this with no talk. In the big leagues, you can't hear. So what you do in your alignment, it's your responsibility to get your head on a swivel and see. And so you learn how to do that. And we've relayed that. And I think for me, with Troy especially, because he's around every day, he's validation. He just validates what we want to do, and then he takes it to another level because of his playing experience.
Have you had to tell him to back off yet?
Not at all. And he's aggressive, and he's fun, but I don't want him to back off.
Let's talk a little bit about this year's team. Maybe just some of your expectations. We won't go through the lineup or your pitching staff or anything. Obviously, Bryce coming back is probably going to be your Friday night guy, but what's the change? What's the big change you see from last year's team to this year's team?
It's really interesting because last year's, the first 6 weeks.
No, we're not talking about. I said the words last year. I shouldn't have said last year. We're not talking about last year. We're past.
Yeah, so you told me we were going to talk.
We're not talking about last year.
But you asked me a question.
Last year sucked. we forgot last year. Talk about 2 years ago. Oh my, that was it. We're bringing the good vibes.
Well, I needed to go to 18 to kind of understand a little bit about 19 to get to 20.
It's my fault. I'm sorry.
So try to do a review Friday night of the 19 team. What we always do in the banquet is a review and then go into a preview. So 19 review, it was tough. So we went back to 17 and 18 because a lot of those kids were on that team as well. But the one thing that I think is that we've had character in our program. We have a little more personality in our program right now. We have a little more passion. I think everybody was so humbled that we're not ready for that to happen again. And I think, people go, well, did you evaluate the team going into 19? Of course you did. But you evaluate it from me down every single year. But what I like about this team is we've had this group of freshmen for 2 years. And so if you watch these guys or listen to these guys and their group message, they're just tapping each other all the time. And so that old school of being around the ballpark. In the fall, we would finish our work there'd be 15 guys hanging out in the dugout, catch their breath, go take phone, go do things on their own. Because we're so restricted in time, we have to teach, our routines have to be very precise of what we expect them to do, so they can go out and do the work on their own. And this team is incredible at doing things on their own. They're sponges.
Do you need a player-led team to be successful?
Darn right. I think your best teams are always driven from the clubhouse. I mean, we give guidance, we do structure, we make a strategic call here and there, but we really want to emphasize who we are. And this is how we're going to play the game. And then those older guys carry that on.
Do you have a pretty good feel for who your leaders are and what you kind of foresee happening this year? I know obviously things change as you go throughout the season. Lord knows last year we would have never expected to not play with David Hamilton and DJ Petrinski all year. I mean, things happen in baseball, obviously. But do you have a vision what you see this team now and who it can become?
Yeah, I mean, Bryce Elder is one of the best leaders I've ever seen. And last fall, he won the Friday night starting position from a freshman that was a 5.55 ERA the year before as a freshman. Just had a few bumps in there, but threw a lot of good innings. But he's got that leadership mentality. But what I love about him is he's so competent. He knows what he's doing. And so that relays over to the pitching staff. Ty Madden may be the most driven kid I've ever coached. He's got that kind of drive, and it carries over to those guys. But the more we create that expectation and the pressure on them, and the more that they like it as leaders, then it becomes the type of flow from, our message. I mean, for us, whatever we come out of the coaches' meetings with, we want that extension to be to our leaders and that leadership to carry over to young players. But you're gonna be surprised. But two of our best leaders are those two freshmen in the middle of the field. They're special. So that's kind of cool to see as well. Now, of course, getting DJ back, he's still coming. Got a very good freshman behind him. Zubia has done great things with his body. He's ready to go at first now, which frees up the DH a lot more. We have three veterans in the outfield, which is kind of our, if you said, what is the strength, I would say starting pitching and outfield play going into it.
Is there anyone, when you watch batting practice, you watch those guys hit, is there anybody where the ball comes off the bat differently? There's a different pop to it. Do you have a guy that you feel like could be a real breakout hitter this year? I think Austin Todd's a great hitter. I think he's the best hitter on our team because he's so fundamentally sound. To me, it's all about pitch selection for Austin. If he swings at the right pitches, he's going to be really good. And the key with him is staying healthy. Batting practice versus game, that's the difference. Who can get it done? We call them 5 o'clock hitters. Those guys can really hit in batting practice, but the game starts at 6:30. That's a problem. But those guys, you can kind of hear it. It's a little different. And Zubia has some just raw power. All right, a couple more questions. We'll let you go. And we will take a couple audience questions as well. So if you have one, be ready. The new baseball facility.
Cool.
How special is that place, and what have you gotten the most out of it to this point?
Well, first of all, in my opinion, when you look across the country, they've got an unbelievable clubhouse, or they have a great batting cage, or their pitching lab is outstanding, or their weight room. Ours is the combination. And we talked about possibly going across the street and making it a little bigger and sharing with softball. Not that I have a problem sharing with softball, but just the proximity of out of our clubhouse, a t-shirt, pair of shorts, you've got a weight room, you got a hitting area that's state-of-the-art netting, this pitching lab that's right off of that, all of our video. I mean, it's as good as it gets. But it was really cool the day before the ceremony of watching our players come in, and they're pretty appreciative, and they realize what they have, but what they've done since it's open, it's already paid dividends. Because they want to, there's no reason not to want to get in there and work. It's a great environment, the weather is completely eliminated, so.
That'll be good for tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll leave it tomorrow.
All right, before you go, a little rapid fire. You've been a coach in baseball since 1989, so I'm just gonna throw some questions at you and just see who pops into your head. Who is the best pitcher you've ever had on your team?
Defining the best pitcher that went on to play in the big leagues or
In the moment that you saw in that moment.
I really loved the kid that pitched for us at Rice by the name of Ryan Berry. Ryan Berry was 89 to 92 guy that threw a true knuckle curveball, and he could field his position and you couldn't run on him. He threw a ton of strikes. Very similar. Rice is very similar to Ryan, where every Friday night you got a chance to win with Bryce pitching. He's going to put you in a position to have an opportunity to win the game.
Best hitter?
Joe Savory.
Okay.
You know who that is?
No.
Big left-hander. He hit 381 as a freshman, and we were going to fix him.
You're going to fix him?
So he would grab the bat, we used to call him a clubber. He would really wrap the bat hard, and, just strong, big guy. And so, we're going to fix him. We're going to get the bat in his hands, really fill the ball with the bat. And we messed him up for about 3 weeks to go back to doing it. He had absolutely, but he had power.
Is this at Rice?
This is at Rice. He had power, but he had the ability to hit tall fields as well. Vincent Snitsky was pretty good too.
Who's the best hitter?
Wait, whoa! I forgot one guy. Anthony Rendon.
I was wondering if you were going to say Rendon. He's pretty good. What do you do last year?
I think.
Can you even talk about it as an Astros fan? It's like beats his hometown team.
Actually, after what the Astros pulled, I'm kind of glad.
See, again, places I was not going to go to.
The thing about Anthony is, I watched probably 98% of every at bat he had in the postseason, and there's two things that stand out to me all the time. He slows the game down, so he sees the ball, so he swings at the right pitches. And if there's any message that you can relay to guys, is forget about where they hold their hands, how they hold the bat, all the mechanic stuff, slow them down. And if they slow down, they can see the ball. If they see the ball, they swing at the right pitches. And Anthony just didn't swing at bad pitches.
Okay, now I'm going to reverse it. The best pitcher you've ever faced.
As a coach or a player?
As a coach.
Ooh, faced a lot of them.
And same thing for hitters, so I'll get your mind working on both.
Back in 01, 02, it's a big right-hander from USC, Pryor. What's Pryor's first name? Mark Pryor was unhittable. Coach Allen actually hit a home run off of him though.
Did he?
We got smoked, but he did hit a home run. And I think he closed his eyes and he caught up to it because it was a changeup. And he hit it over the right to the wall. Yeah. He was awesome.
Best hitter?
Ooh. Actually, it was Roger Keeshnick maybe at Texas Tech, which was Brooks' cousin. I'm just trying to think as a coach. He was really good. Yeah.
Okay. Who is your favorite pitcher all time? Just
Nolan Ryan.
Yeah.
He's been my favorite since I was a kid.
And hitters?
Ooh, I got a lot of those. I like Rod Carew.
Okay.
I like Carl Yastrzemski. I'm kind of old school there.
Left-handed too.
Yeah. I love Rod Carew. I thought he was one of the best hitters of all time. I like Tom Mattingly. Those are probably the top three.
Okay. What is your favorite game you've ever watched?
Ooh. That I've actually just watched.
Yeah.
I wasn't involved.
You could have been. Whatever. Like that one moment where you were like, like for Astros fans, it's the 2017 World Series winning that Game 7.
Yeah. I think the most interesting game I was ever involved in, kind of a different way here, was when I was at Sam Houston State in 2014, and we played in the regional at TCU. We actually lost the game, but it was an incredible game. We got beat in the 22nd inning. And we had both relievers on both teams, both closers go 6, 7 innings. I mean, guys were going home taking naps and then in the 13th, we had our catcher at first base as a runner with 2 outs, so I wasn't gonna run for him with 2 outs. It was in the 13th. And Ryan O'Hearn, who's playing with Kansas City now, hits a ball literally that far from going out of the park. We're the home team. It hits the line, or it hits below the line, perfect cop back to the center fielder. He overthrows the second baseman who couldn't throw, and he threw it to the shortstop who threw a perfect strike and got Azar out in the 13th. So we advanced. We were the home team. It was the pivotal game 2 of a regional, and we were the home team. And then in the 21st,
You got that Sean McVay memory.
well, it was the 21st, it was about 2:54 a.m. And then the 21st, we had bases loaded, 1 out. The fastest guy on the field is our guy, right fielder, hits a chopper to the shortstop. Game over. They're not turning a double play. So the shortstop waits on the ball. The second baseman on his pivot's got his left foot 18 inches in front of second base. He flips it to him. Our guy slides in, and he's safe or he's out. Ball goes into right field. We score from third base. We're celebrating. Game over. Now they got to go through the losers bracket and beat us. Umpire called runner interference. Took it off the board. Happened in the first inning as well. Runner interference 2 times. By the name, his name is Jeff Head, an SEC umpire. That's not even the end of the story. Not even the end of the story, because in 2018 we win the regional here, and so we got Drew and I are thinking the whole time we're going to Oxford to play in the Supers against Ole Miss, and I'm sitting on my recliner watching Tennessee Tech win this doubleheader. I'm like, holy cow, we're playing at the Dish. Boom. We get there Thursday afternoon practices. We got the umpire meeting. Who shows up? Jeff Head. We have no shot. And he was actually good.
Did you say anything to him?
I don't have to.
He knows.
I said plenty to him that night. Me, the runner, everybody got thrown out of that game. We got beat in the 22nd. And TCU, asked Chris Delconte about the 22-inning game of TCU versus Sam Houston State, and he would say, "Oh, it was the greatest call ever, greatest call ever."
Finally, your favorite moment as a manager?
Definitely when we clinched the Super Regional with Omaha here. It was a great, awesome time for our players, our fans. I mean, think about that day. So we lose game 1. They were the hottest team in the country when they came in.
They hit like 190 homers.
They hit 124 home runs. They hit 1 home run in that Super.
Yeah.
And it was a first pitch from Blair and like the 6th, pretty much a meaningless home run, nobody on base. But when we came back and won the Sunday game and go into Monday, ESPN, 107 degrees, and they give us a noon start. I'm like, this is brutal. I wasn't worried about us because I knew they would have melt over us. I was worried about our fan base having to go to work, and in 10 minutes it's sold out. I'm like, this is this fall. And that is what, as a player and growing up in baseball, when I got here, I wanted to see that TV with the Texas line. I wanted to go on, wherever you were in the city, knowing that people were following us, and I wanted to see that stadium like that. So, that drives us. That drives us. You guys drive us. Our fan base is tough at times. But that's okay, because we got great expectations.
That's the perfect way to wrap it, because we go full circle, starting with Omaha and ending with Omaha.
I like it.
We'll take a couple of questions from the audience if you have anything. Yeah, go ahead.
sharing your journey. I'm curious if you can share any routines or habits that have led to your growth throughout your career.
My personal growth, I think more than anything, believe it or not, because it's a very stressful business, I'm pretty good at not taking stuff home. I think my family has kind of been our backbone, and it means a lot to me that they deserve that. And so for me, I give them everything I have when I'm not coaching, just like I feel like that's what I want to do with our players. And so we're drained, but I mean, that piece probably more than anything. Now last year I can't say that I was 100% there. We struggled, but try to exercise, try to eat right. I love working on a campus because young people keep you in the loop. And the other day, which it's pretty funny, I thought I walked in the clubhouse and I had some pretty cool clothes on. And so I had this freshman, Trey Faltini, who's, he's hip. And he goes, "Coach, you looking drip."
Drip, that's the new one.
I said,
Drip.
I asked another player, I said, "Drip?" I said, "Is that good or bad?" He goes, "Coach, that's good." Trey, thank you. So they keep you young, they're fun. And so we try to push them hard, but we like to have fun too. It's too tough on them not to.
Is drip in your vocabulary now? Is that a...
No, it's my favorite emoji though. I got my wife going, "What is this?" "Honey, you look drip."
Any other questions? Yeah, go ahead.
Coach, so your pitchers that come on that y'all recruit, I assume, are all stud starters. How do you sift through and figure out starter, closer?
Man, that is a really good question because this is something that it's not only pitchers. Every guy that we recruit is the number 1, 2, or at worst, 3rd best player on the high school team. So I actually asked the player, I was ramping from strength conditioning to the training room, and I was just kind of raising a little noise and just fussing a little bit. But anyway, I was in the training room and one of our players was in there. I said, "Have you ever been pinch hit for?" And he's a sophomore, so we haven't played a game this year. He goes, I said, "Before you got to Texas, have you ever been pinch hit for?" He goes, "No." I said, "That's interesting because when I pinch hit for you last year, that was the first time you ever been pinch hit for." He goes, "Yeah." I said, "How did you feel?" He goes, "It felt like a failure." So they have to understand that they're playing with great players, but they want to be the guy still. And I asked the pitcher that. And he had never been pulled in a game because of performance in high school or a meaningful summer league game. And so I said the same thing. So the first time you ever been pulled was last year. How'd you feel? And he said, "Well, Coach, I got in the dugout. I had to pick up my teammate. I knew I didn't do my best." I'm like, "Come on, time out. How did you really feel?" He goes, "I felt like a loser." So what does he do the next time? He's going to go try to do more. He's going to try to be perfect, which is the wrong way to go. So teaching them how to become a different role. I want every guy to want to be the Friday night starter, but it takes a lot to really find those roles when you've been the best player on your team. So really, it's about a 3-week process once we start playing outside opponents. Okay, I'm not the starter, but I have the ability to come off the bench. All right, the starter, maybe he's going to sit for a game. He doesn't even understand why he sat. So you're always explaining things more and more to them than really you want to. You want them to just get it, but you've got to relay that information so they stay mentally positive.
Chris?
How do you sift through the high school players that are going to be top pro prospects so that you don't get left shorthanded?
It's a fine line because you want the best player that's going to go to campus, and that's hard to get. Go back to Trey Faltini. When you look at the fluff of preseason rankings and ranking players, and the state of Texas, Perfect Game had ranked Trey the 6th best player in the state. The top 5 signed, and so on paper, he could be considered the best recruit or the best player that went to campus. But it's a fine line. We were just named by Baseball America in this November signing as the #1 class signed, right? Baseball America, we signed 14 kids. Well, they're not here yet. They're not ready for the hand. But this is the deal, is that 5 of those kids, we're really going to hold our breath, that whether they come or not. But if we get 2 of them, we're good. If we get 3 of them, that's a bonus. We get 4,
Your drip.
we're good. No, but so it's a fine line. The
Like,
thing
a
you can't
great
do-
example is Brett Beatty. Because I can't imagine you really thought Brett Beatty was going to come here, but there was a part of me that probably thought this kid wants to play college baseball. You never know. Maybe he's swayed one way or the other, right?
Part of that is because these kids have started committing so much earlier. When we committed Brett as a sophomore, he wasn't what he is now. So we did expect to get him, and then that year he got better. That summer he got better. We go out to area code, it's called area code games in August. You know, somebody has to go to Southern California in August, but so that's the one trip I go to every year. So we go out to watch him or watch that tournament, and he's killing it. And he's playing third, and we're like, you're not supposed to be that good at third base, because a corner guy, if he only plays first, well, maybe we got a shot. But if he's going to be good at third, it gives those guys options. Now he's running better. He hits with power, so he can play left and right. So we're like, we have no shot. And he's a first rounder. But you can't turn your back on that. It's our recruiting. When I listen to football, basketball, and I talk to Shaka and Tom about full scholarships, well, you guys have it easy. I mean, they're picking the guys that they want, and they're going to campus. We have to give them max 50% scholarship and hope that they come to campus. What it is. Just
One last question about it.
Yeah, you mentioned perfect game. With their headquarters and facility coming to Hutto, how do you think that will impact your program?
I think it's going to impact us in a very positive way, for the simple fact that, I don't know if you're aware, but there's not a lot of activity that goes on at baseball or athletics on campus. And that's due to not allowing that through the University of Texas. And so anything that's ran through our program has to run through our camp. So if we do a team camp, it has, if we're going to have a weekend of select baseball at our place, we have to get those kids to be involved in our camp. But yet, we can go anywhere in the state and watch those kids play on their campuses. So between Chris and I, we're trying to get that resolved to at least get a handful of events that aren't labeled as part of our camp. But with Hutto, right up the street, we got a chance to get those kids looping through campus. Whether they're playing or not, they're going to see it, and that's what we're missing a little bit. But we don't feel like we really have missed on recruits either.
How about a big hand for David Pierce? Texas Friends Root for you this year. We wish you the best of luck. Thanks for taking the time today.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.